I've never said, oh, I wish I would have known sooner. I am not a look back at the past kind of person, ever. I have never even considered that thought of, well, what would it look like if I didn't have the money? It came into my lap when it was supposed to come into my lap. Outside of having a better mentor, I would not have changed any of the way I did it, but I went full force, man. I did not just trickle in and no, I went to everything tank. I talked to people. I read everything. I consumed information nonstop. I remember I didn't sleep. I probably didn't sleep for 2 years because I would just be up all the time thinking about it. And what can I do? And how can I do that? And who can this help? And I was just so in. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. All right. Teresa picked her topic of the day. But first, a fun fact. I haven't even heard Teresa's fun fact yet because, I hit record before she had a before she had a chance to talk about it. So
I was super excited to share it because I thought that it was so cute. So did you know that it is illegal to own just one guinea pig in Switzerland because it's considered animal abuse because they're social beings and get lonely? So you have to have more than one if you adopt them.
More than one animal.
More than one guinea pig specifically.
More than one guinea pig.
Yes, in Switzerland. So,
do they have to be male and female? Can they both be female so we don't multiply this?
So we don't increase the amount of guinea pigs? I'm not sure. It didn't say that. It just said that you can't adopt just one. So, if anyone is moving to Switzerland and loves guinea pigs, there you go. You're welcome.
Sounds like a great time that the government spent coming up with that
right
rule.
Taxpayer dollars put to good guinea pig use.
Yeah.
What's yours? I know you looked some up as well, so it's a surprise for both of us.
So I found one that said American families are getting braver about skipping the guilt tipping. So, and I picked this on purpose because tipping everybody for everything annoys me.
I would agree
surprised.
With that.
Like, I'm sure nobody is surprised by that listening. But I thought it was interesting that Americans are guilt tipping. I didn't know that was a thing. Less in 2025. It is $283 instead of $453. And I'm assuming that's probably per year or something. The average person now gives a tip pressure 4.2 times a month compared to 6.3 times last year. 41% say the cost of living led them to reduce tips. 78% of Americans think businesses should pay employees more instead of relying on customer tips. I think people just need to quit expecting a tip.
Yeah.
I can understand in restaurants because they do pay just like a minimum wage, right? So I don't have a problem in restaurants doing a tip. I actually prefer to do tips in restaurants because people are very fortunate. My husband pays when we go out to eat. Very fortunate. I very much tip based off of my level of service. And if it was a horrible level of service, Scott will still tip and I would be happy to give you 0. Okay.
That sounds like my husband as well.
And so Scott pays. So he will be like, oh, they weren't as good. I'm not going to give them as much. Right. And I'm like, they deserve nothing. And he's like, well, they might be just having a bad day. And I'm like, we all have bad days. Get over it.
Yeah. If you have a bad day at work and you're expecting a tip, you might not get one.
Yeah. And if we have a good waiter or waitress, we actually ask to sit in their section. Because, and then like we've given a lot of money for tips because we just really appreciate somebody. And it's not every time we sit in their section, but sometimes we do. We have one waitress that works at our Ruby Tuesday. And she's so sweet. And she's just like, her name is Harmony and she is Harmony. Like
Oh.
her personality matches her name, you know?
Mhm.
And she's just so smiley all the time. And she's just so chipper and so happy. And we just love to watch everybody's reaction with her. And then I'm thoroughly disappointed with everybody's reaction because nobody appreciates how happy she is. I'm like, do people just not go out to eat as much as we do or what? Because she's amazing. But anyway, but the tipping for like if I go to Starbucks, you already charge me $8 for that.
My favorite too is like how they ask for the tip. It's not even like, hey, we're asking you for a tip. So if you want to just press that button and then you can swipe your card. It's like, hey, it's going to ask you a question. I'm like, we both know what question it's going to ask. Like my husband and I had a back and forth about this and we were laughing because he was like, if they actually say, hey, it's going to ask for a tip, I'll tip. He's like, but if they just say, hey, this is going to ask you a question. He's like, why are we flirting around this like it's some secret?
Yeah.
You know what you're asking me for.
Yep. And when I go to get my hair done, like I love my lady, I'm happy to tip. But I'm like, it's already fairly expensive, you know? So just put it in the bill and then don't ask me for a tip.
Do you tip?
And I get why, and I tip her, but I get why she tips because she has some clients that she does a lot of service for, right? And they tip her very, very well. I'm probably not the client that she's like, oh, I hope she comes back because I'm just like, well, okay, you already, that's your price per hour or that's your price that you set the stuff at. So just set it in. That would be like if I said, oh, hey, here's your life insurance policy. Let me just turn that iPad around. You can, answer that next question however you like.
It's going to ask you a question.
Yeah. But people who think they need to tip like their mailman, and it's just gotten to the point where you go to the grocery store, is there a tip jar there? Like, God, just do your job and get paid for it. That was not prevalent in my day. And
yeah, it's definitely everywhere now.
It is. And it is super, super frustrating to me. Uber drivers, I have no problem tipping them either because I know that their pay is not super amazing because Uber takes the majority of that. And so I have no problem if they're great to give them a good tip either. But if I lived off of tips, I would be going above and beyond because tipping is based on your level of service.
I agree with that. Well, and it's also, I don't know if you've experienced this, and I know we're kind of getting long-winded here, but I think that the asking for tips has increased, but like the level of service has somehow decreased significantly. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to give you a tip for like, doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. Or if you order food online to go pick it up, you want a tip. You didn't even have to do anything except put it in a bag in a little window. Like you didn't even have to deal with me.
Right.
You didn't have to go get me a drink twice or 3 times. You didn't have to clean up my plate. And you want a tip.
I still do it for like pickup orders. I still tip like for the most part, but yeah, it has gotten a little out of hand, I would say. And I think people are realizing that because they're like, oh, well, if we just ask the question, most people will feel guilted into saying yes.
That's why they call it the guilt tipping.
That's so
what?
true.
I don't feel guilty. So no, you're not getting one.
I still do when I press no. I'm like, oh.
I don't. I'm like,
see me.
oh, I don't feel one bit guilty. And I'm like, hope you learned something from that. Here's your tip. Stop asking for tips. Okay.
Yeah. Tell Starbucks to increase your wage, please. Which gets passed on to the consumer anyway. So it's just like, well, hey, either we're tipping or we're paying more for the drink.
I would rather pay $10 for a coffee and not be asked for a tip. Like, build it in.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Build it in. The thing there is, would you get worse service? I really am okay with it for like restaurants, but I am not okay with it at coffee shops because It is a restaurant, I understand that, but coffee has gotten so out of hand expensive, and I don't go anymore to coffee shops, but because it's gotten so out of hand expensive, it's $7, $8 for coffee, and then I'm supposed to give you another $2 tip or another $1 tip or something. I could have bought the coffee shop by the time I'm done.
Yep, that's so true.
I could
I
just
have an
go
espresso
buy
machine
filters.
at my house
Oh, do
for
you?
that reason. Yeah, I make my own coffee every morning.
I make my own coffee too, because I'm not going in. And I did not so long ago. I went in and I was like, oh, this will be a nice little treat. And I took one sip and thought, well, that's disgusting. I could have just made this at home.
Yeah, and then you have
So-
your preferences, like of how you like your coffee too. So it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
well, hopefully they make it well.
Make it toward my preference.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So you wanted to talk about lessons learned along our IBC journey. So I'm going to let you lead this because, of course, we didn't prepare. This has gotten, here's the fun part, people. Teresa is a preparer. She likes to prepare. So I'm rubbing off a little. Like it's the Lucy over here. So I'm going to let you go and then I'll follow.
All right. Well, let's jump into it. I was thinking about this because I think that we have like the luxury of time and experience along this journey in having conversations with so many now clients and potential clients. But it's like we're kind of at not the finish line, but it's like we're further ahead in the journey. And at some point, we were both new to this. So I think it will be fun for people to hear about just like the lessons that we've learned along the way and what we wish we would have known or been able to have a conversation with like our younger selves about this specific journey. Because were you nervous when you started your first policy? I'm so curious. I have questions for you actually.
No.
Why not?
Because I hated the stock market. So I was so excited to get my money out of my IRA. I was more concerned that it was illegal. Like I wasn't concerned about the policy, the company, the borrowing of money, the process of borrowing of money, how I was going to pay it every year. I don't even think I probably really considered any of that.
High action. High action, Mary Jo.
Yeah. I was more concerned about if it was legal and if someone was going to jail over it, because why hadn't I heard about it? I mean, I did my due diligence, but I was still very skeptical about it being legal.
So what put you at ease, I suppose, to realize that
when I went to the North Dakota Insurance Commissioner's website and they have like frequently asked questions. I don't know how I found it. I think it was under frequently asked questions. Something about you can borrow cash value from your life insurance policy. And I was like, they have that on their website. Well, clearly it's legal.
Yeah,
And
like why would they promote that?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
So how about you? You were concerned about all the above except that you knew it was legal and you were concerned about the opposite?
I figured that it was legal because I was like, well, banks put their money in these products. So I'm like, if that's what they're doing and they make a lot of money, then I should be doing the same thing. So I wasn't concerned that it was illegal. I don't think I had any concerns at all, which is very unlike me because I'm very risk adverse. I'm a super conservative person when it comes to just anything financial, because the thing that I loved the most about it was that it had a guarantee contractually. I'm like, if stuff hits the fan, I know this is the worst it's ever going to do. So that gives me like very much peace of mind. So no, I didn't ironically have very many concerns, which is not really like me, because I've noticed like sometimes when you're speaking to clients, like they'll go ask someone who has no idea about infinite banking what they think about it, which kind of cracks me up. I don't know why. Maybe just because it's like, you want that kind of camaraderie with your peers of like, oh, like I'm also investing in a 401k. Are you? So I never asked anyone what they thought about it because to me it made so much sense. But I know for a lot of people that's not their same experience for whatever reason. So I wasn't nervous about it at all, which is not common for me.
And maybe we're not the wrong audience.
Probably.
to talk about because we're here teaching it, right? So we obviously bought in, but it is I was concerned it was illegal, but I did just come out of a Forex trading thing that was illegal and the guy was in prison. So to my defense, I was a little more leery about that. But yeah, I didn't have any huge hesitations with my own money about it.
What do you wish that you could tell your younger self now? Like that the person that was just about to start their policy and like seeing where this journey has taken you and like just your understanding of it now.
Like my younger self that bought a policy or my younger self that's an agent?
Ooh, maybe both. That'll be fun for people to hear.
As far as on the client side of it, I can't say that I wish I would have started a bigger policy because I couldn't have. So the policy I started was just fine. I figured it out along the way. I wish that I would have understood how the premium cash value piece worked better. Mm-hmm. Like my second year or third year, my first policy was $10,000 a year and I only got in 8. When in fact I could have gotten the full 10 in had I truly understood, pay the 2 in premium and then turn around and borrow against it to make that credit card payment because you have your entire life to pay that back. So I shorted myself because I didn't really understand that the money should go through the policy.
That's a really good point. I would say I kind of had a similar just realization going through this process over all these years is like it technically is an expense, right? Your premium is an expense. But if you think about how we think about our just regular banking accounts, it's really just an environment for money to pass through.
Right.
And that's exactly what your policy is, which is what you're talking about, is just putting that additional money there and just using it immediately after. I love that.
Yeah. So I was trying to pay credit card bills. I was trying to pay for some of those things, not day-to-day living expenses, but business expenses with cash. And then I was like, oh, I can't pay my full premium. So I wish I would have really, and even maybe found a better mentor, because at that point, the person I was working with very much was making this look like you could pay your living expenses through it. And I didn't necessarily believe everything that she was saying, right? Because not everything she said was 100% true. And so I didn't have the right mentor to really be asking those questions to either. Or I just didn't ask. I mean, I knew other people in the industry that I could have asked, and I just didn't think to ask them. So having somebody else to talk to about it is fantastic and amazing. And so if you don't have the right agent, then that's where it's hard, where I just got off of a call with some clients and they had a lot of questions about, okay, we're going to pay this premium. And then do we use it to pay down a debt? Do we use it to make a payment on a debt? Do we borrow operating money to pay premium? Like we had to run all those scenarios and they were confused. And so I'm like, well, if you use it to make a payment on debt, you literally just move the payment over to the policy. It didn't actually pay it down. It just moved it over. And so having that guidance would be, I wish I would have had that if I had to go back again. That had probably been the biggest thing for starting. And then, of course, like as an agent, on the agent side, a better mentor. All the way around, a better mentor. Just somebody better that really had the best interest of the client and not their own checkbook. But I did align myself with really good people. So at least I had that piece when I left there. But I do wish that I would have. Everything else, I would not go back and redo. I mean, I built my own brand from day one. I did not attach myself to her. I did not do any of that. Everything was mine from day one. I marketed from day one. I had to learn how to talk and what language to use and how to explain it all on my own. And so it would have been nice to have somebody that understood that ahead of time because I could have been in a much better position.
Like accelerate your compounding effect.
Yeah. How about you?
One thing that I was really confused by when I was first starting out, and I don't know if it was because it was the way that it was taught to me, but I thought originally like oh, you make money off of the loan. And it's like, no. That's so wrong. You make money by paying premium. You can borrow against your policy. It's going to grow compounding for you, but you want to take that money that you're using and go put it in something that is going to bring you cash flow. So I think I had a really big, just not a full understanding when I was first starting out, because that's what a lot of people in the industry, I think, were saying at that time. And it took a lot of research and just being around the right people that were talking about it in the correct way for me to be like, okay, like that makes more sense to me. Like the more money I put in this thing, the more it's going to grow for me. And that's how I'm able to capitalize my policy, basically. So that was a big thing that I think I was confused about. And then it also took me a while to understand, like, well, how are you still earning on the full amount of cash value? And it's like, well, because that money is not coming from your policy. It's coming from the life insurance company's general portfolio. You're paying them a rate of interest for the use of that money. And you want to pay, as Nelson says, pay yourself extra interest for the use of that money, which is just another way of saying, put more premium in your policy.
Right.
So there are some things that I kind of overcomplicated in my head that now that I'm this far along is because we have to explain it to people is much more simple than I originally thought. So I kind of thought it was more complicated than it really is as well.
Yeah, it's not, that piece too was always funny to me because I also was taught you make money taking loans. But you borrow against your money. You're not taking your money out. You're not using your money. You're not touching your money. You're borrowing against it. And so people read Nelson's book, and that's one of the biggest kind of hurdles of Nelson's book is that when he starts looking at numbers, he's saying, oh, you buy trucks and then you pay premium and look at how much money you made because you took this loan for this truck. What people don't read is the fine print that says the extra interest was paid in as premium. So it wasn't, you don't get paid, you don't make money taking loans because the interest goes to the insurance company. But if you paid above and beyond, which is what Nelson's showing you to do, it goes in as premium. So it's accumulating more cash value. So it looks like you're making money paying interest. So that's why when I wrote my books, I did not apply that same principle. I borrowed at the rate and I paid back at the same rate the company was charging. And then I said, if you want to pay extra interest, you can. Because I didn't want to complicate it for people to think that you're making money taking loans.
That's brilliant. Yeah, and I think that was like a big mental hurdle I had to get over of like, oh, okay, well, how is this actually working? Because I'm like the type of person that wants to, lift the hood of the truck and see how every part of the engine works. And some people are not like that. They just want to know that their car is going to run. Which is good.
Right. Yes.
But yeah, I am
that is good, but I think it's like the older, a handful of the people that started this whole movement with Nelson were very misleading for commission purposes because they know better. They're not dumb people. And then they train people, and then those people don't really ask any questions, and then they train people, and the cycle continues. And so there's a few of us out here breaking that cycle, but
just want to tell you the truth of it. So I would say if I had to have a conversation with my younger self, it would just be to just start, because learning how to use something is going to be way more valuable than ever just thinking about it conceptually. And I think a lot of people get stuck there. It's like, okay, well, if I get started, what's the right amount? Or, how much money should I be putting in? Where is that money coming from? How can I make sure that I'm paying premiums every single year? So I would just say start conservatively, which is what I did. I'm like, I don't know if we want to put this part in the podcast, but I actually had no money when I started my first policy. I leveraged a 0% interest credit card, and I took that check to the bank, and they were like, no one's ever done this before. And I was like, well, you guys gave me a blank check and I'm telling you how much I want. So, and they're like, well, let me go check to make sure that this is fine. And they're like, yeah, this is fine. So that's how I got the money to start my first policy. That's not how I recommend people get started.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
You did not tell your agent that.
No,
He
I
would have
didn't.
probably said, just because I know the agent that helped you right away, I'm pretty sure he would have said no.
I did not disclose this, but I just knew that I wanted to get started. And I was like, well, how can I if I don't have any money right now? And that's what I did. So full disclosure, do not do that.
And if you do, don't tell us.
Don't
Make
do
it
that.
sound like no, don't. Please.
No, just don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I did. And I funded my premium and then I borrowed against it and paid off the majority of the credit card and then paid the rest of it off. But
Oh, so you took a loan from Cash Value to pay your credit card off.
So
you did exactly what I just told my clients not to do.
Yeah. So maybe we cut this out. This is young, dumb Teresa, right? She's evolved now. She would not do that.
I think we leave it in because we have to admit our mistakes.
Yeah.
You got lucky. It worked out for you. You understood the process, but
did.
it's not advised.
No.
Not advised at all. It's definitely important to have the good advisor to make sure that, because even though it sounds simple, you pay premium, you take a loan, you pay it back. It's not always that simple because what's happening in your life that we need to figure out how we're going to move that money around and where it's going to go and which way to use it and all that kind of stuff. I mean, my last meeting was hour and 15 or something, and it should have maybe been a half an hour meeting. But they had a lot of stuff that they were trying to get the money in the policy and then borrow against it and understand this. And so I think a lot of people don't ask those questions and they just hope. I didn't understand it. I mean, I understood that you could borrow from it, but I knew I was going to have to do it to learn it because I'm very hands-on. And so I knew the best way for me to do it was just to buy a policy and get started. I did ask other people about it. And like my dad, and he's like, well, that's not going to work. But I tried to do that. I tried to buy a policy on grandpa and they told me I couldn't. And so then I asked my father-in-law. I don't know that I really talked to anybody else, but I just was like, yeah, whatever. My father-in-law said I had a policy in the 80s and I canceled it because they told me to put it in the market. So I knew that whole life was around. Like I knew that made sense, but I didn't understand this piece of it. But in all reality, I found out about this in about September. I heard about infinite banking. By December, I quit my job, and February, I was at Think Tank. So I very quickly surrounded myself with 200 people that had already been doing this. And I was listening to people speak on it. And so I very much I moved quick enough through the system that I didn't have a lot of time for doubt.
I think that's another really good point is surround yourself with people that are actually actively using their policies and the people that are doing it successfully and with discipline, because you're just going to have so many more people that don't understand what it is that you're doing than people who do. So being in the right rooms around the right people is great, which is why I love going to Think Tank, because it is such a breath of fresh air of people that really, love what Nelson teaches and helps, their clients with the same thing.
Yeah. And Nelson says that in the book. He said, find people that are doing this and create groups so that you can talk to one another. And so, our clients get to come to Coffee with MJ Thursday every month. Right now, we're doing it monthly, Thursday mornings. They get the client summit. And even when we did our last client summit, it was funny that the clients are like, it's so nice to be in a room and talk about infinite banking and not get hit over the head. That it's a dumb idea, right? Like you leave with this sense of, oh, I am with the right place. But if you never come to those things, and there's a lot of us agents that do those and put those on for people. And so you should be going to those things. You should be surrounding yourself with those people because you leave with so many ideas and so much better understanding. And so we try very hard to get the community of people built up so that you have a place that you can go. Even though it's online, it's still a place where other people are doing the same thing and can ask questions and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually invited one of my clients to Think Tank and he was like, everyone should come to this. Like he was just like so excited about what it meant, for him and his family, especially because he was already actively doing it, but just kind of having that, extra reassurance and just people that are doing it successfully always makes a big difference.
Yes. Yep.
I would
Okay.
say one thing, just because I'm kind of a nerd about this, is I wish that I would have told my younger self to track my policy growth monthly. Because I think it's one thing understanding how something works, but then seeing what it does for you on a monthly basis is really exciting. Like I'm this week going to go through my policies to see how much they're growing like year over year, just because they're at the point where it's season now. So it's like way more exciting to look at. So yeah, just I think some tips or things to consider for people that are, haven't gotten started yet or are wondering what that kind of journey looks like from not having a policy to just starting to, how old is your oldest policy now?
I bought it in December of 2010, so 15 years.
Nice.
And
That's
it's the one
exciting.
it would be more exciting if I would have paid the full 10 grand. Because now when I run in-force illustrations, I can't compare them. So it's very frustrating because I can't see how close the company is. I can't see if it's right on. I can't do a comparison to my original illustration. And that's another thing. Save your original illustration. Like we don't mail them out, obviously, but we email them. And so save your original illustration. And 15 years later, if you want to compare it, you can compare it and it's there, which is always really fun to do as well. But yeah, I can't think of, like, is there something else that I would have changed or done?
Or just maybe like something, I feel like I'm always still constantly learning about infinite banking because I just love it so much. Like I had a client call the other day and they were like, well, what's your experience of it been like? I'm like, fantastic. I can't shut up about it.
Right.
I wish I would have started when I was 1.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've never been that person. I've never said, "Oh, I wish I would have known sooner." Because I just didn't know sooner, right? I am not a look back at the past kind of person ever. And so I have never even considered that thought of, well, what would it look like if I didn't have the money? Like it came into my lap when it was supposed to come into my lap. I just wish I would have been able to understand it sooner. I mean, I didn't put a lot of money into 401ks and IRAs, so it's not like I lost a lot there. I don't have the past regrets. I don't know that I would really, outside of having a better mentor, I would not have changed any of the way I did it, but I went full force, man. I did not just trickle in and no, I went to every think tank. I talked to people. I read everything. I consumed information nonstop. And so I really don't know that there was more that I could have done.
You were the A student.
I was like, a child have a child? Oh, didn't know. Because I was just I remember I didn't sleep. I probably didn't sleep for 2 years because I would just be up all the time thinking about it. And what can I do? And how can I do that? And who can this help? And like, I was just so in and so excited about it that you would go to like your first couple think tanks, you don't sleep. Like my first think tank, I didn't sleep those 3 days we were there. I was so excited to be there and meet everybody and talk to everybody. Like you don't go to bed till 2:00 in the morning. You get up at 8:00. You get home and you're just like, you keep going because you're so excited. It's not even like I would crash when I would get home. I mean, my first 2 think tanks were it was a lot. It was very exciting. And it's fun to go to think tank now and to see all the new agents and how excited they are. And here's the downside for client. Like we don't have a client think tank we don't have a client summit every year. And it's because we just, most of my clients are farmers. We're lucky to get them there once every 3 years because they don't ever want to go anywhere. But if you can have one every year, you have those people that are excited, or you have one every quarter. You have those clients that are equally as excited as we are. And it's even more exciting when you surround yourself with those people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think who's in your community always makes a massive difference.
Yes. Yes. All right. Any other questions?
I think we're good.
Okay. Well, you guys know the drill. Email us if you need to. Trissa at Without the Bank, Mary Jo at Without the Bank. Go get your book. Schedule your appointment with either one of us. And then you have a fantastic rest of your day.